I had been for 4 years just getting pushed around, like, "Ooh, what do you think's gonna happen?
What do you think?
Do you think something cool's gonna happen in the next one?"
It's like, I sure hope.
Hey, it's your favorites here at Do We Like Star Wars? I'm Terry.
And I'm Kira.
Give me your first impression of Episode 9.
My very first thought is good. Just good. Not great, not bad. I enjoy movies that are good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My first impression. They did things that I wanted to happen, not in the way I thought they would happen, but it was still satisfying to watch. You know? It put a nice little bow on the saga I had seen and waited for, and I'm happy with the bow, and I'm ready to put the bow away. Put the whole present under the Christmas tree for next year. Or no, never. I'm not going to open this bow again, actually. It's sealed. Let's, you know.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Yes, as they say. You nailed the trilogy. Well, no, you didn't. Well,
I'm sorry. Did they nail this trilogy?
Okay, hold on. Okay. No. It answered... Okay, the answers to the questions were things I had already known. A lot of things happened that I wanted to happen, but not in the way I knew they were going to happen. You know? The journey was perilous, but the destination was clear from the start.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It's like, our biggest concern with this movie was you've got a lot of loose ends to tie up, and this movie was just like, boom, loose end, boom, loose end. But like, they were just running
tie.
okay.
Because it's like, it's
what's
almost
that?
like...
This character needs a conclusion? Boom, conclusion. Anyway, moving on. They're done.
It was almost like 7 and 8 were two separate movies that joined, like two timelines that joined in the middle. And this had to answer questions from two separate places.
Of course, because Episode 7 asked a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8 asked even more questions and subverted what few answers we got from Episode 7.
Yeah.
And so now Episode 9 just has...
It has to redo, or it doesn't have to, and in fact, it didn't have to, but it did redo a lot of the answers we got in 8 and tried to tie up the questions still hanging from 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you said good, not great.
Good, not great.
Okay.
Just, you know... Something like Star Wars, the expectations are so unrealistically high that I don't think you can please everyone.
I had very low expectations.
We went in really not actually wanting to go in.
We were... It was such a chore.
This is the behind the scenes for Do We Like Star Wars.
We sat down, we got our popcorn, and we were like, oh, God, 2.5 hours, huh?
2.5 hours, huh?
It was like a Monday night. It was just like, oh, God, I don't want to be here.
Because it's fucking Christmas Eve, you know? Movies like these always drop on Christmas weekend, basically. So it's like we got things to do. Oh, it's another thing to do.
But no, it was quite. I was delightfully surprised.
I was very entertained, thoroughly entertained the entire time.
Yeah, me too. Which is important. That's
yes.
Like,
there were no lows. There were no like low moments where I was like, ugh, already.
Episode 7 is fine. It's not particularly entertaining, other than introducing new characters.
Yeah.
Nothing really cool happens.
I disagree, but I can see where you're coming from.
Uh-huh.
Because when I see a new character, I'm like, new friend, new best friend. When I see a new character early on in a trilogy, I'm like, new best friend.
Yes.
When I see a new character in episode 9 of the trilogy, I'm like, please?
It's a little late for that.
It's a little late for that. Except for Bleebo, our new slug friend.
Claude,
our new slug friend, Claude.
Yeah, we're going to get to Claude.
We're going to get to Claude.
I think you were combining Claude and Bulio. Sorry, this is verging on spoilers.
Uh-oh.
Spoilers, there's an alien named Claude.
I don't think anything that happens in the first 20 minutes of a movie can be counted as a spoiler.
I disagree.
Wow. We were talking about this with our extended family members over Christmas. One of them hadn't seen Star Wars yet, and the others had seen it. So, I think if something happens in the first 15, 20 minutes, it's like, it's not... You know, Let me try to.
It's not a bad spoiler, but it's still a spoiler. A spoiler is any information that would take away your enjoyment. So if the movie starts with a surprise gunshot and you ruin the surprise, you've still ruined the surprise.
But it didn't. It starts. Is this time of the podcast where I can spoil?
No.
Damn it. Well, the movie starts with a question from 8 being answered immediately, quickly.
Immediately.
Like the first minute. It's like, this happened. It's like, oh, okay. I don't think that's a spoiler because it happens so fast and so, honestly, like, unceremoniously. Like, I don't blame them for doing it that way, and I don't care about it because it wasn't a spoiler to begin with. But,
I think we're quibbling. This is like you're saying it's a minor spoiler.
No, I'm not. I'm saying it's not a spoiler because it's answered in the first 10 minutes.
Okay, you're saying it's not a spoiler. I'm saying it's a very minor spoiler. It's not worth. I agree with you in theory and in spirit, not in theory.
I do not see. I'm looking away. First thoughts go.
My first impression of the movie. 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
In terms of. Wait.
High praise. Too high. Too low your praise.
10 out of 10 action. 10 out of 10 characters. 10 out of 10 aliens. 10 out of 10 droids.
11 out of 10 aliens.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I'd go that far. We have new friends.
I was like, I was blown away. I was so entertained. I was emotional. 1 out of 10 romance. I
would say -2 out of 10 romance. I would say 7 out of 10 plot, which is not good, not bad. You know,
the plot gets what is important right. And
there were a lot of balls in the air, and I can't say that they caught all of them, but the ones they caught, that was cool.
Yeah, so I was ecstatic leaving the theater, even though I audibly groaned at nearly every romance.
Yeah.
So the thing I've been thinking about with this movie is like, my initial perception may have been too high because it was a bit of Stockholm syndrome. I had been for 4 years just getting pushed around like, ooh, what do you think's gonna happen?
What do you think?
Do you think something cool's gonna happen in the next one?
It's like, I sure hope.
I hope something happens at some point. Like
you had high hopes for the living.
I was Tantalus. I would reach up to the fruit tree and it would grow taller. I would reach down to grab some water and it would shrink. For 4 years, I was just so hungry for anything, for any kind of answer, that I was over the moon that episode 9 contained many answers.
It did have answers, yes.
In that moment, I was euphoric. I was just like, finally, answers. And upon further reflection, I was like, okay, the answers weren't all that great, but I was just so happy to finally like have some resolution.
Yeah. It's been about a week since the movie was released. At the time of recording, it'll be, and like, we've had time to digest it. I was leaving the theater ecstatic, but now I'm like, I still don't even hate episode 8 the way people do. Like, I still enjoyed it in hindsight. I still like it.
I like episode 8 a lot. I think it wasn't allowed to fully flourish, but yeah, anyway.
It just, I don't know. It's simmering very slowly. Like, that was good. That was good.
Episode 9, you mean?
Yes, that was good. I'm not gonna say it was bad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think Star Wars fans will like it better than non-Star Wars fans.
Yeah, it's the 9th movie.
No, but episode 8 was the opposite, where if you didn't have an emotional attachment to Star Wars, you probably liked it more than the fan base.
It's hard to judge because you can't go into the 8th movie as your first movie.
My girlfriend did.
Your girlfriend was wrong. Like, she shouldn't have done that. You don't go into the 5th Harry Potter movie and be like, who are these quirky little kids?
I did that.
Well, you were wrong. No, you don't go into episode 6 of Saw and be like, where's Jigsaw? He's been dead for 4 movies.
I went and I watched Avengers Infinity War, having not seen like half of them, and I was like, oh, who's this? Ant-Man? Got it. Like, you don't need those.
Well,
is that a different case?
It's a different case because Marvel movies are awful. Like,
wow.
They're just actually bad.
Okay. Next.
Star Wars is only somewhat bad. We'll
save that for our next podcast.
Do we like Marvel? The answer is no. Moving on. The thing about Star Wars, do not cut that. The thing about Star Wars is that I've seen a bad Star Wars before. Have you seen episode 2? I have.
Wait, what? Which Star Wars is bad?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Whoa.
No. Okay, no. I'm obviously joking. I did not.
Right, because episode 1 is the best one.
Episode 1 is really episode. Okay. Full disclosure. When we watched episode 1 over the summer on the 4th of July marathon, I guess, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think I might have been like losing my mind, but I technically enjoyed it.
It's a fun, wacky movie.
I hated episode 2 and I hated episode 4. So I've seen bad Star Wars before, and this is not it. You know, it's not nearly as bad as that. The romance is almost as bad, but nothing can beat Anakin and Padme.
Yeah, so here so the answers were for me very satisfying at the moment just because they were answers, and I've since been like, they're not great, but I still think it's a great movie, and I think it's one that rewards Star Wars fans.
Yes, there's a lot of fan service.
And with the romance, which is horrible and the worst part of it, I would say as a Star Wars fan, you're used to ignoring romance. There has never been a good romance in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like we're used to Luke just made out with his sister. Like that's always been like you always look away at the romance in Star Wars.
I am looking away. I do not see.
Some people
we irritating.
Some people have even been like, oh, actually, that's a spoiler. So
can we get out of the spoilers? It's been more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So go see the movie. Good movie.
Spoiler time. Palpatine is Snoke. He says this in the first 10 minutes, and it's no one's surprised.
He says it in the first 1 minute.
Yeah. It's like the way he was dispatched in episode 8, I enjoyed because it was subverting whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, people don't just dispatch the main villain without having had any confrontation before. But,
yeah.
And that's interesting, and it's not surprising that Palpatine was Snoke, but we weren't surprised, and I think because they knew we wouldn't be surprised, they didn't worry about it either, which is a weird fan narrative, like, conversation that we're having as we watch the movie, and I don't know about that. It's a product of age.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
Episode 9 came out hot with like, all right, everybody, we got a schedule, so let's chop. We'll just get through this.
It was
Shut
very
up.
meta.
We're just gonna get through this.
It was very meta. You're gonna fucking eat your answers.
Yeah. So
eat my content.
Palpatine, in the least artistic way, is just like he's speaking to Kylo, I guess, and he's like, "I'm alive. Snoke didn't exist. I put all those thoughts in your head." Like he's just expositing
for 10 minutes, and Kylo's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of this film is really just director speaking to audience.
Yeah.
Which is fine given the circumstances because they had so much to get through.
I would be fine with the circumstances if it wasn't brought on upon himself.
Of course.
You know? If you had inherited a narrative that was not your property, like if you're, like, say, rebooting a franchise or something, and, like, if, like, I don't really, whatever, but, like, if you're, you know, the She-Ra creators and you have to reboot the She-Ra franchise, you have to kind of answer for what they did previously.
Yeah.
Because you're just handed something. But Ryan J.J. Abram Johnson did everything to themselves. So I don't feel bad that their movies are getting weird reviews. Because it's like, you did that, dude.
Yeah. The way I would put it is episode 9 is as good a movie as it could be given the 2 movies that it's tied to.
Yes.
So, like, the problems of episode 9 are largely problems of the trilogy.
Yes.
And so I don't fault episode 9 in particular for that. And I will say it's by far the best in the trilogy.
Yes.
So yeah, right off the bat, Palpatine is just like, I'm alive. It's me, Palpatine.
It's me, your boy.
The man. I'm not a Force ghost.
I'm not a Force ghost, but I also haven't been eating rats.
It is I.
He is on a crane, which is really cool for me. I like that.
That's great. Yeah, no, because like...
It explains why he's... Or it doesn't explain, but it gives me enough context to know that he's not healthy. He didn't survive well. He did.
Yeah, it's as believable as the statement, this 120-year-old man has survived...
a death fall from the sky bridge.
It's as believable as that scenario could be, because it's like he's... The fact that he's on a crane, I think, is a really good choice, because
it's a bit of a shorthand. Like,
absolutely.
I see he is on a lot of robot, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah,
I understand. Like, you just understand. Oh, he's been through something.
it gives him a literal and a metaphorical connection to his robotic army.
What if here's a rewrite. What if he's on a crane, he's connected to machinery. What if like that planet wasn't just a planet? Like, what if it was all machinery and he was just connected to the planet?
Exegol?
What if he just was Exegol?
Wow, Palpatine is Exegol.
And that's why he has physical control of all these ships, because he is the planet. That'd be wild.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like
sort of the imagery they were going for.
He plugged into the Death Star, basically.
No, I mean
He's in the hive mind.
That's what it feels like. He kind of is all of Exegol.
It's Danganronpa. A far superior series.
Yeah, no. So right off the bat, we jump in with Palpatine, and you see there's a Snoke in a vat, and it's just like, yeah,
A couple Snokes. I love that.
Forget about Snoke. Whatever.
Oh, he's a fetus. Don't worry.
Like
It's
just
Earthbound. Don't worry.
So dismissed.
So dismissed. Which that particularly feels like Episode 7 was building him up, and Episode 8 dispatched him really quickly.
Snoke?
So quickly. Yeah, Snoke is dispatched so quickly that like JJ wasn't ready. He was like, no, wait, that's not how it happens. Oh no, how do I get him back in the film? It's like...
Yeah, I don't doubt that Snoke was always supposed to be Palpatine.
No, yeah.
So it really makes no difference.
People were saying that since the beginning, so it's not really a shock or a spoiler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were people saying that the bad guy in Star Wars is the bad guy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's like saying, do you think Ganondorf is going to show up in the Zelda game?
Oh, gee, do you think Anakin... Oh, gee. It's like I'm in Episode 1. It's 1999. Oh, gee, do you think little Annie is going to be, like, Darth Vader?
Yeah, no, I think it's very easy to say that Palpatine would be the villain.
Yeah. And I enjoy it that way.
Yeah, so Episode 9 has this strange relationship to Episode 8 where certain things are absolutely dispatched from Episode 8. Dispatched.
Yeah.
Certain things are absolutely discarded.
1, 2, 3.
Episode 9 has an interesting relationship to Episode 8 where it picks and chooses what it wants to keep.
Yes.
And it will say directly to the audience, I am throwing away this thing from Episode 8 I didn't like.
It makes it pretty blatant that it's throwing it out.
Example 1 is Snoke didn't matter. Whatever. Let's start the movie.
And go.
They also like barely use Rose. Rose got a
God.
nasty demotion.
It really did, and that's honestly a shame because
I don't know. It had to be done. I like Rose. I'm one of the few people out there who likes Rose, but in a trilogy, she has to be introduced in the first episode.
Yeah. It's like I can't have sympathy for characters introduced in 8. Like
right.
when Holdo died, I was like, cool. Like
yeah.
It's unfortunate because like everyone in Star Wars, there was a lot of potential and they just did not care about her character enough.
So yeah, Rose is here and she does engineering things, which is, suitable. She's an engineer and
it makes sense from a humanity point of view. Like sometimes people just go back to doing their job.
And it's not like the characters ignore her, it's just the movie ignores her, the narrative ignores her.
She's busy. She's
the
doing
characters
stuff.
are like, "Hey Rose, how you doing?"
She's like, "Oh, hey."
Oh, hey, Finn, my best friend.
Oh, hey, Finn, did you catch the game last night? It's like, yeah. The game of Snoozeball. Snoozeball.
Played by the Snoosians.
The Snoosians.
Yeah, so other Episode 8 things. Luke does a complete 180 on
Octu.
On Octu, where this was very clearly J.J. Abrams saying, I'm sorry we did that in Episode 8 with Luke.
It wasn't my fault. I'm J.J. Abrams. It wasn't my fault.
Let me undo everything. So, like, Luke picks up a lightsaber and hands it to Rey, undoing the fact that he threw the lightsaber. Yeah. And then he even lifts the ship that you see in Episode 8 out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, just very clearly, like...
The thing the fans were saying where it's like, why didn't he pick up the ship? JJ's like, I heard you, and here's what you wanted.
It was so quick, it was like he was speaking directly to the audience. It's like, okay, Luke's gonna undo those things. Are you happy? Luke's a good guy now.
Luke's happy with his own life now.
Luke's good again.
Luke's good, man. Luke's appearances in the film were very brief, but I feel like the scenes with him were excellently done. I personally love his character, so I would have loved more of him. Like I said earlier, like I would have loved him force ghosting just to be around and be an old man. I would have loved that. But what they gave me with him was very satisfying.
Yeah, I agree.
He had a good scene with his sister, which is in the foundation of any Star Wars movie is Luke and Leia. You know, they're the only two actual characters that matter. I mean, a great scene with them, and I can't ask for any more.
Yeah.
I want to, but I can't.
No, I mean that sums up a lot of my feelings about episode 9, where it's like they got right what I cared about. I care about Luke and Leia. I care about the pseudo religion of it all. I actually really like all of the religious nonsense, like oh, we're a dipole, and oh, the granddaughter of Palpatine has to strike him down, and it's like I'm here for all that, and they did that well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, undone by the Force twins and the granddaughter of the Emperor.
And the granddaughter of his apprentice.
You know, when Rey holds the lightsabers in an X and like banishes like all of the religion was there for me.
All the religion was there. I like the visual callbacks. There are a lot of callbacks and a lot of fan servicey callbacks, like remember when Chewbacca did this or whatever. But one I really enjoyed was Rey doing the X thing to banish Palpatine or whatever she force banished him to the death. I don't know. But when she does the X with the cross sabers, it perfectly mirrors when Anakin was about to chop Dooku's head off and Palpatine was egging him on.
Right.
It perfectly mirrors that in such a not subtle, but that is something you have to really remember from episode 3. That, you know, not everyone would. You know, or like everyone remembers that Anakin killed Dooku, yeah, but like the visuals of it are so rewarding to remember.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Daisy Ridley's a great actress. Anyway.
Yeah, so I kind of started down this road talking about the relationship between 8 and 9. Mm-hmm. So other things I noticed were J.J. Abrams clearly loved the Rey and Kylo scenes where it's like, why is the Force connecting us? Mm-hmm. Because they're Force touching, you know, when they're in different locations. That was embraced and used a lot more and used very well, I think.
I hated that in episode 8, but I did. Because
Why?
People are being weird about it.
Right, but you can't hate it because of the fans.
I know. That's very hypocritical of me, and I will try not to.
No, it's cool.
It didn't make enough sense. It didn't make enough sense in 8. And they didn't exactly explain it any further in 9, but they just pushed it further. And for some reason, that made it click in my mind. That made it click in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Mostly because it was cool. You don't honestly need to explain everything if you do something cool with it. And those scenes were cool.
They did a couple cool things. Like, the writing in this was tight. It was clever. When there were twists, unlike in episode 8, these twists were like the result of things previously stated. Yeah. So... with the Force touching thing, it was really cool that Kylo learned where Rey was because she accidentally like teleported his helmet to her.
That was so cool.
It's good writing because like you can see how he pieced together. Oh, you're on my ship because of like the rules make sense, which is the bar is very low for me for Star Wars.
Well, because like it's a magic system that's very ill-defined. So when they have any kind of rule. Because it's so ill-defined, when they have a rule, it has to really follow that rule. So it's rewarding when they do.
Yeah.
You know?
And at the end with Rey confronting Palpatine, she hands... It's established...
It builds. It really builds because at first, it's like he rips off her necklace and he's like, she's on this weird planet. And then it builds to, oh, you're in my ship. And then it builds to, I'm here to fight with you. Like, that's a good building block. Yeah, when you structure a film that it builds on itself to a climax, oh, I love when they do that.
It was very basic writing. Like, she has 2 lightsabers, and there are 2 of them. And then she ends up handing him the lightsaber using that trick that we've established.
Yeah.
But, like, okay, it's gratifying sometimes to have a simple plot pay off.
No, well, okay, here's the thing. You know how Luke Skywalker is, like, the everyman hero? He is the definitive hero's journey?
Yes.
Like, he's been used as the building block for all stories, basically, since the 70s?
Yes.
Like, it is such a basic outline of the hero's journey that like it works, and that's why we love Star Wars, because he fulfilled his journey.
Are you saying Star Wars is basic?
I'm saying Star Wars should be basic.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Because episodes 1, 2, and 3, they were not basic at all. They were very complex, and how did that go? Not well. Maybe we need to, as a society, like as we're moving forward in film history, like obviously we should get smarter and more creative and more crafty, but like sometimes you need a simple story. Sometimes your story works on a simple level, and you don't need to complicate your own things.
Yeah, I think you can go crazy like in episode 8, but you have to commit to it.
You have to commit to it, and they just could not commit to anything.
If you're not going to commit to subverting things, then keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, they didn't commit to anything this trilogy. And like the characters, there's so many goddamn characters this trilogy that like they could not play with them all, and they just had to put Rose away. They just had to put her away.
Episode 9 for the most part did a good job of making sure only the important characters interact, and they actually do interact.
This is the first movie in this trilogy where the hashtag Star Wars trio of Finn, Poe, and Rose. Nope, I fucked it. The hashtag I can't even remember what the trio is. The poster trio is Finn, Rey, and Poe. And this is the first time all three of them interacted in the same scene. And I was so fucking happy when they did, because it was any scene with the three of them was so good. They felt like a fully realized characters, even though I hadn't seen any of the development. But I'm gonna put that aside because what they did was cool.
The friends were actually friends.
They were actually friends. They bickered like friends would.
In a universe where the morality is basically friends are good, like
yeah,
you won't get too many other morals from Star Wars other than friends are good, evil is evil, and it's like the friends were friends.
Friends are friends.
They had not been friendly in previous films.
Poe had not met Rey until the end of episode 8, and they didn't even say anything. They were like, "Are you Rey?" "Yeah, I am." "Oh, cool. Oh, cool."
Yeah, so lame.
Lame. Star Wars thrives on being cool. It can go through anything. It can go through any plot holes or misdevelopments as long as it's cool, and it just was lame half the time.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how this movie handled relationships? The relationships may have killed me inside. And by that, I do mean romantic relationships.
Yeah, go off, Queen.
Okay, fam. Listen here. Listen up. I don't want to outright say anything was homophobic, because it really wasn't. But the context is a bit homophobic. They introduce two characters. Well, okay. So
basically, in response to Storm Pilot,
yeah,
they said, let's invent girls for these two to
yeah, like in response
to get with. In response to everyone, including the actors, which is very important when the actors are saying things at cons and in interviews. Everyone since the beginning was like, Finn and Poe, they work well. That's a great dynamic. Oh, it's great characters. And it's only gotten stronger since in the last 4 years. People just being like, yeah, first gay Star Wars characters. People have been really riled up for like the representation and just like the chemistry that is so clear in the movie you actually wrote. It was a chemistry sorely lacking from every other character, especially
in any movie.
Especially Rey and Kylo, I would say.
Especially Rey and Kylo, especially Padme and Anakin. Like, Star Wars is horrible at romance. I'm just gonna say it. Star Wars has never been a good romance, except for Finn and Poe, which they didn't even write because
Han and Leia was good.
I keep flip-flopping with Han and Leia.
All right, we'll get into that later.
We'll get to that. But and I don't mind. I feel like I'm flipping, so edit this if I need to sound more coherent. But I'm mad, Queen. In response to all the shipping and all the fan quirmerings,
Wow, good word.
Is that a real word?
No, you made it up.
I did. It really feels like that these new characters introduced halfway into the film, into the last film of the trilogy. Oh, this girl Zori has a history with Poe and they're flirting. Oh, this rando ex-stormtrooper who has a similar disposition to Finn. Ooh, what's going on here? It's like, it feels like a slap in the face to anyone who really wished for Finn or Poe to be gay.
Yeah, so Poe was directly romantically involved with his chick.
Yes. He
Finn-
says, and it's such a, they really confuse Poe's character because he's been such a Leia parallel that he explicitly said, "I'm not Leia." And it's like,
That was one of the more interesting things that it didn't run with.
yeah, it was like, oh, you're not Leia? All of a sudden, okay, I'm sorry. For me, the fan in the audience is like, oh, I'm sorry for thinking that if I offended you, Poe. Like, what?
We didn't really get back to that.
But then when he meets his girlie again, he starts being like a roguish charmer like Han Solo.
He starts being Han when those Han parallels hadn't really been there other than the fact that he's a pilot.
Yeah.
Like, he's absolutely a team player.
Like, he's absolutely a team player.
He has a very close bond with Leia.
Why is he suddenly a spice runner? Why is he suddenly a drug dealer? Because Han was a drug dealer? Do we have to have a roguish rogue?
Yeah, it's
Why would Poe, as the planet's blowing up around them, he's looking at Zori and he's like, blah, 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 blah. Can I kiss you? And she's like, no. But it's like, why would Poe do that?
What
are you doing to his character?
I actually liked that just because I think I have a huge man crush on Oscar Isaac.
Oh, of course.
I think he delivered that line well.
Oh, of course.
Like, it did get an audible, aw.
No, of course. No, Oscar Isaac can say whatever he wants.
Story-wise, it's like, we met this woman 1 minute ago.
And I have no emotional attachment to her, and he shouldn't either, because
and
he's in love with Finn.
And we have shit to do. Like, this is a movie where there's absolutely shit to do.
Like, Poe, who's only ever been focused on work and Finn.
And any other thoughts about Poe specifically and his girl?
Yeah, it sucked.
It sucked. It super sucked. And it was clearly just written in there, like, let me invent a girl for him so he can't be gay.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't preclude bisexuality, but you know they're not bisexual. You know they're not gay. You know? He had a moment where he wanted to kiss a girl, so therefore anyone who wants Finn and Poe is a fool and a loser. And it just feels insulting to us.
Yeah.
Who want that representation, who need something to believe in, specifically because in that one article, J.J. Abrams specifically says
their friendship is deeper than love?
He says specifically Finn and Poe's friendship is deeper than love, deeper than any romance, which is like, okay, weird. And then in the same paragraph, he goes on to say, but we wanted our LGBTQ fans to feel represented, so we included some representation. And the representation we got was a fucking lesbian kiss in a background with unnamed characters at the very end of the movie. It's like, that's not fucking representation. Yeah, that is not making me feel included, you asshole.
It's better than nothing, but it really is condescending to say.
It's like, it's better than nothing in that, like, getting a slice of bread is better than starving to death.
Right.
It's like, thanks, I guess I'll live. But it's like, that's not making your audience feel included. That's not representation. That's just patting yourself on the back for doing nothing. The same thing that Marvel did to us 6 months ago. You know, it's insulting. I'm actually physically insulted at this point.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
It sucks.
I feel like not having Stormpilot in there is a mistake, and I really feel like it will be rectified down the line because the actors want it, the fans want it.
The only one who didn't want it was the Megacorp and J.J. Abrams himself.
So I can really see, like, 10 years down the line, and it sucks that you have to wait for this, but I can see 10 years down the line in Star Wars Episode 11, we will see an aged Poe and Finn together. And it won't be like a thing, like they will just be together.
They won't
romantically, I mean.
Yes, they won't say, "Oh, we're at their wedding," but they will be together, and that will be good enough for me. Because you know what? It's like, I can accept circumstances. It's like, at the end of The Legend of Korra, you know, Korra and Asami get together, but due to censorship and syndication and all these problems, they weren't allowed to kiss, they weren't allowed to do anything, they just were able to hold hands, and that's it. But us gays, we were like, they're together. And like 2 years later, in the comics, they were confirmed, they kissed the first thing they did in the comics, so it's like, cool, they're together. I will wait for that, you know? It's like, give me something, homie. Then to also say that Finn and Poe's relationship is deeper than romance. They're deeper. Their connection is so much more than any romance could be. Romance is not the end-all, be-all. And then to slap me in the face with Kylo and Rey, where at the end of their arc, the biggest, like, consummation of their arc together is a kiss?
That
Is
was
romance?
so weird.
It's like, I could deal with one or the other, but you're basically saying that fuck gay relationship, that means nothing to me, but the Kylo kiss, that's everything. It's like...
They have no chemistry.
They have no
that
chemistry.
was the most platonic kiss I've ever seen.
It was so bad.
It's like so when you touch
To end my thought, it's like it's extremely insulting to say that your male characters can't be together because that's bullshit. To write in new women is insulting just to quash any gay rumors, you know? To say that a gay relationship would not be as effective as a male friendship, and then to say that a woman's like the end of her arc is to kiss a man. It's like you're saying so many confusing, weird, shitty things.
Yeah, you cannot say both. Finn and Poe have a friendship deeper than love, so they don't have to be romantic. And then B, but Rey and Kylo have to be romantic.
They
because
have to be. They have to be.
Their romance is deeper than
any friendship. And it's like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that every male character should have a male romance, because it doesn't have to be. But it'd be cool. It'd be. Hey, I ask for simple things.
Poe could even have had that fling with her and then also be into Finn.
Yeah, because he's probably bisexual.
Before we end this, can we talk about so there's a new former stormtrooper girl introduced for Finn.
Yes.
Was there romance there?
I don't know.
I don't know what constitutes romance, because Reylo was so out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I do not understand what is romance in these movies.
It's wild. The second she shows up and her name is Jana. The second Jana shows up and is like, I was a stormtrooper, and
yeah, it's like, oh god, they're pairing them.
They're pairing them. Like, they gave them this weird romantically tense scene that, like, in the end, Finn, you know, he and Jana have like a mission together, but like they don't do anything, which is a sigh of relief. But it really felt like when they introduced her, it was explicitly just to give Finn a last minute hookup, and that was dirty. That was gross, and I'm glad they at least didn't do that to me.
Yeah, they didn't hook up, but it was weird because that was more romantic tension than all of Kylo and Rey.
Of Kylo and Rey.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what's romance. Well,
it was a weird moment with Jana too. I enjoyed her character a lot. The scenes with Finn was great because she was like riding a horse with him. That's awesome. They're riding a horse on a plane. Cool shit. But
it was cool. I think it's
to also take like a gay interracial couple and bring the black guy to another black girl. It felt like weirdly segregatory.
Yeah,
and it's like,
here are proper partners for you two.
Here are the real partners for you. And it's like, it scared me. It really scared me that they were gonna do that.
Yeah, it was clear that episode 9 is just ignoring Rose.
For sure.
But I'm curious what happened with her and Finn.
Yeah, I would love if they dated and just were like, this is not gonna work. Okay, but we're friends though. Okay.
Do they even date? It just seemed like Finn was not into her kiss.
Yeah.
And
you know why?
Rey was not into kissing Finn either.
Yeah, no one's into Finn's not really into kissing either of them. You know why?
Is Finn asexual?
Because Finn's gay.
Oh.
Maybe he's gay. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. Yeah, the romance is a big bomb. I guess we have to talk about Reylo now because it happened.
I don't want to. I want to talk about Storm Pilot because they're the only they're the only couple that had any chemistry, and it was so easy. You didn't have to write anything more. You could have just done it.
So Reylo happened.
So Reylo did happen though, and we have to live with that.
It was so sudden. Like, she goes to pick up his dying body.
His dying body.
She like pulls him up halfway and then kind of hesitates.
She like puts him down and puts him back up. Like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Not in like a romantically tense way. It was so sterile. Like, she just lifts him slowly, and it's like, wait, what? Oh.
Like, oh.
And then she lays him down, and by this point, I was so tonally confused. I was like, I did not read a kiss from any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she started laying him down, I really thought she was going to climb on top of him and just start.
Oh my god.
Because I was like,
could you imagine how wild that movie would have been?
But it's like, it was equal. The kiss was equally out of place to me. I was like, no way in hell is she picking him up to kiss him. And then like when she was laying him down, I was just like, oh my god, are they just going to make out on the floor?
They're just going to make out and roll around in on top of Palpatine's dead body.
Ooh, boy.
Ooh. Roll it again.
Yeah, man. So she says something to the effect of like, I love Ben. I didn't love Kylo. I loved Ben. And it's like Ben Solo, like the uncorrupted Ben Solo, is a character we, the audience,
Have never seen.
Met like 10 minutes ago.
Ah.
When Leia like exorcised him.
Yeah, really.
She was just like, spirit be gone.
Evil be gone. It was, and this is gonna segue into the whole redemption arc discussion, but like I just feel like they, not even that they half-heartedly did, they full-heartedly did the redemption arc that they thought they were writing, and
For
I was
Kylo.
like, for Kylo, and I was like, you didn't write it well though. Like, how does his whole redemption arc seem to be? He and Rey have one last fight, and then she heals him, and then he realizes she was right all along about being evil, and he then betrays the Knights of Ren and has a really cool fight scene with them and fights by her side, and it's like, what? I am very opposed to the idea of, and this is why I think Darth Vader, in the same vein, it's like I'm opposed to the idea of one good act erasing all your past sins.
He didn't do one good act.
His one good act of defending Rey, I guess, makes
No,
him Ben Solo again and not the mass murdering Kylo.
I'm giving them more credit. So he had to do a couple of things, in my eyes, to be reconciled.
Uh-huh.
One of which was cope with having murdered his father. And I'm not saying that makes him less guilty of murdering his father, but he came to terms with that.
Mm-hmm. With his regret? Like,
yeah.
Actually, like, for him to actually call it regret rather than duty or something like that?
Right. Well, and for him to realize, like, this is not a binary good or evil path that I'm going down. I can still do good, even like he shouldn't even think about redeeming his character. It's just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do good. I don't care if that redeems me or not. I'm just gonna do good.
See, I didn't get that from that at all. I didn't get the internal struggle of, can I do good if I've been bad before? Like,
he says that a bunch.
Did he say that?
He says I'm too far gone. Like
to Han, right?
Yeah, after or to Rey, he's like,
but why does he even think that?
When Rey, quote unquote, kills Chewbacca, he's like, just like me, you've done acts that you can never come back from. And then Rey says, you can always come back.
Wow, I completely did not remember that. Okay.
That's not verbatim.
It's not verbatim.
This was the argument they had.
It certainly feels out of nowhere for Kylo, who at this point...
The argument was, can you do something so bad that you can never be redeemed?
I feel like they should have had that sewn in throughout his character arc, and it feels like they only threw that in at the very end.
It was.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was also confused because, like, in Episode 8, he didn't kill Leia, but, I'm just going to not think about Episode 8 right now.
Like you said earlier, Episode 9 as a whole works really well if you pretend that they did the legwork in 7 and 8 to get there.
Yeah.
And I am honestly fully okay with pretending that the other two movies were good as well.
Right.
Because this movie starts off so strong that I'm like, you know what? I accept it. I'm reluctantly accepting everything that's happened up until this point.
Yes. Okay, so...
I pretend that the trio has been a function.
So, I can identify 3 parts of Kylo Ren's redemption arc.
Okay.
He comes to terms with having killed his father. He gets forgiveness from Leia.
Yes.
In like a supernatural kind of way.
Due to the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher, they were so limited what they could do with her, and I fully understand that. And any weirdness that happens with this movie regarding her, I am okay with.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not going to blame them for Leia weirdness.
I would even imagine, and this is wild speculation, but the scene where he's talking to Han Solo, I would imagine that was supposed to be Leia.
And I would have greatly preferred that to be Leia than Han.
But yeah,
obviously.
So he comes to terms with having killed his father. He receives an almost supernatural forgiveness from Leia,
yeah, like a penance.
And then it's not just that he kills Palpatine or defends Rey. He specifically dismantles the Knights of Ren, which was like his great darkness. Like he
has been used by Snoke / Palpatine and everyone else for so long that like his actions are a bit muddy, but the Knights of Ren are specifically his fault.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that is appropriate. Well, and because the Knights of Ren would have gone out into the world and spread more evil. Like, he's actually owning up to his actions here.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Because, you know, in episode 6, Vader kills Palpatine, which is like, whatever. But this is as though Vader, like, took out all the stormtroopers and was like,
Yeah.
sorry, guys, no more army. I'm actually, like, owning up to.
Mhm.
No, so I think it's significant that he went and took down the Knights of Ren.
Mhm.
And then helped kill Palpatine.
Mhm.
And then he sacrifices his life for Rey.
Yeah. Which I'm gonna like. I haven't read too much about this online, but I can see this being kind of tricky. Where it's like, oh, the Force can heal you now. It's just like, accept it. Just accept it. She did it earlier. Rey did it earlier, so now Kylo learned to do it, and he helped her the way she helped him. I'm fine with it. Keep going. You know, this is fine.
I want to make a YouTube video of how to establish new Force rules in Star Wars, because there's so much debate over this, and I think all you have to do is introduce it incrementally. So show Rey heal a worm, then a person, and then finally, like, you know, just build it slowly. It doesn't have to.
Sorry, I'm ruining the take. Sorry.
It doesn't have to make sense as long as it's built slowly.
Well, the same thing with the necklace and the helmet and then the lightsaber. Like,
yeah,
for the Force touching thing, like incrementally, they that's two things they already did right in one movie. You know.
Yeah.
Showing me the increments.
No, I think the healing is fine.
Totally. Yeah. The Force is already such bullshit anyway that like. Anything can happen. I really don't care. Just show me slowly, because it's like, it's the difference between mastering something on your first attempt and like learning how to master something.
Yes.
You know, the problem with like Rey's and Mary Sue is that like, oh, she did everything perfectly on her first time, whereas like if she was slowly learning how to use the Force and harness it, it'd be totally fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my prediction and my dread for Kylo's redemption was that it would be just a deathbed conversion, and it wasn't.
You sure?
My main, yeah, I you can disagree. Like,
I'm skeptical, but tell me.
Yeah, how do you think? I mean,
you tell me first.
I laid out the steps of his redemption arc, and I think, you know, in a 2-hour movie, that is as good as you can do. What would I have preferred if his redemption arc had taken maybe 2 films, or like, they kept talking about him being stuck between the light and the dark, but we didn't see any light until like an hour into the last film.
Yeah, much like how they said, Rey, you're struggling with the dark side, and we did not see any dark shit until 9.
We did not see Rey do anything bad until 9, when she does something by accident.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we said we were gonna ignore 8, but like, I don't know. Anything that happened in 8 should have happened in 7 too, as well. Like,
yeah.
Kylo at all struggling with the light should have been started in 7. All these things should have happened way before 7. Like, they should have happened in 7.
I think Kylo's redemption arc was quick, but it was certainly not as bad as it could have been.
Okay, so the thing is like, episodes 1, 2, and 3 were showing how Anakin fell from grace to become Darth Vader, right? I think episode 7 should have started with Kylo on the path to redemption. Like, we start episode 7, he's already done all his shit. Like, he's already, like, Supreme Leader's, like, lapdog. So it's like, he's already bad. You know? We don't need to have him sink further and further into badness. Well, I would love that. But, like, we don't have to have him be bad and then good and then bad and then good. It's like, have him be bad and then have him climb towards goodness. Like, a great redemption arc is not just, like, thinking, oh, I have done some bad things, let me do a good thing to fix it. No, a redemption arc starts there. You know, you don't get redeemed until you work towards it. You know, you can't just have redemption, you know? And it's just impossible to do that in the last film of a 3-film series.
Yeah, it's asymmetrical.
It's horrible, yeah.
You know, episode 9 was starting on a bad foot, and I think they did the best they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kylo Ren was good in this movie.
I liked him. I don't think he spoke for the last 30 minutes, and honestly, I was fine with it.
it
Not
was
for any dislove of Adam Driver, he's great, but like, I just like Kylo shutting up a little bit and just doing some shit.
Yeah, his mission into the depths of Exegol was almost humorous. Like, he's just running, like, I've got to undo my dark past.
I kind of loved it.
No, it was
Fight
it was
scenes were
great.
amazing.
I mean, I was just again, I was ecstatic something was actually happening in this trilogy.
Mm-hmm. With Star Wars, you gotta think, was it good or was it cool? And this trilogy was very cool. You know,
Yeah.
so much cooler than 1, 2, 3.
What do you mean by cool?
It's just cool. Like all the fight scenes were cool. All the visuals were so cool. You know,
Yeah,
the music
I mean,
was so cool. It was so cool. It's so cool. I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't happy the entire time, but it was so cool.
it was. And when you say that, that brings to mind Palpatine shooting lightning into the sky.
That was so cool.
It was just cool, man.
Oh my god. That was so cool. That was so cool.
It was, yeah.
It was frightening. Really.
It was extreme.
It was horrifying, yeah. He hits every ship. They all start going down like in Jimmy Neutron, and it was like terrifying. Like we were like, "Oh shit, this is where it happens. This is where everyone dies." Oh god.
I think it was cool because what would be silly is if he shot a beam into the sky that was like blowing up every ship.
Yeah.
That'd
That'd be too much.
But what the lightning did specifically was just screw with their electrical equipment, and I think that is a frightening and not believable, but like small enough scale that it's not like. And then Palpatine wins by snapping his finger.
But it's also like he did snap his finger. It's also like in Episode 8, it's like we're running out of fuel, and it's like, when has Star Wars ever worried about fuel? But like the vagueness of like our ships are malfunctioning. That's fine.
Fine, whatever. Yeah, you don't have to talk about it.
It doesn't need to be super scientific to
I
be
don't know,
believable.
man. I just
you know?
like I was fanboying. I love the Emperor. The Emperor is my favorite
Emperor's
character
so
in Star
cool.
Wars, and he said, "Do it."
He said, "Do it."
It was funny. He said
He said the thing he says.
He said, "Do it" to Rey, but he didn't say it like "Do it." He said it like Rey, do it.
But I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
That's a fan service I like.
Do it.
You know, it's like it's quick, it's short. It's not necessarily the most iconic thing he's ever said in his career, but like I'm a fan of it, and I was serviced.
He was great. He was there hamming it up on his little crane.
On his crane, going up and down.
That's gonna be good for like theme park rides. Just have Palpatine dangle in.
Oh my god, that's horrifying.
Dangling Palpatine.
His legs are like flopping.
No, it's good evil imagery. It's like a corpse. It's terrifying.
It's like a reverse Jesus.
And it is a reverse Jesus. Yeah, he was trying to die too. Like he was fine to.
He wanted. It was
There's
so
some
wild.
lore. There's some lore where it was like he was going to transfer his soul into Rey and live in her.
And like
it's weird that he told her this outright. And
yeah.
So she's supposed to be like.
Maybe it was a thing.
Why did he think she'd be like, okay, jump into my body?
Maybe it was a thing where it's like it had to be like. She had to accept him in, otherwise his spirit wouldn't be able to enter her heart.
The religious stuff is weird.
I'm fine with that. You know, it's like weird, but all right.
I'll leave that to the folks on YouTube.
Yeah, not us.
And I actually think that's great that niche exists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the weird Star Wars YouTube fans, except for the shitty ones. But that goes without saying.
But
so I'm not gonna say it.
Palpatine was just cool, and
Palpatine is so cool that I'm kind of fine with Kylo's villainness not being like top 10 villains of all time. Like he's not my favorite Star Wars villain. Palpatine just outclassed him, and that's fine. I still like Kylo, and I just love the Palpatine more. The Palpatine.
Yeah, we should. This is
the Palpatine Fatcast.
Episode 9 is confirmation that this is not the Skywalker saga. It is in fact the Palpatine saga.
Yeah.
Palpatine is making moves in Episode 1 when Anakin is just kind of existing. Like, to say Episode 1 is about Anakin is silly.
Yeah.
It's about Palpatine.
It's about Palpatine.
Episode 2 and 3 become about Anakin, but also more about Palpatine. And then this whole new...
Palpatine's been sowing seeds since the beginning. Like,
right.
He's the one who incepted Anakin into existence. And although...
That's actually dubious. I watched a cool video on it.
Hell yeah. Moving on. Fuck Europe. Palpatine. It's weird that he's physically like genetically related to Rey. I thought they were gonna like force project her midichlorians into existence, but I'm fine with that.
I like that better. So he just had a kid.
He just like, who fucked Palpatine? This is the one mystery I'm okay with not answering. But who fucked Palpatine?
I probably when he was a good-looking senator. Why is that hard to believe? By that time, he was an old man. Like, we don't know when he had that kid. I'm sure there's enough information. I believe Palpatine is like 112 or something in the new
Something
movie.
like that.
Yeah,
in the new movie. So that'd mean he'd be like
over 100.
70 around the time of around the time of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So that means he was like 50 around the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, we can presume he just had a kid, which is fun.
All right. But who
Yeah, but so then the new trilogy
who crane fucked Palpatine anyway?
Centers around Rey Palpatine.
Yeah.
And Snoke, who is Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Palpatine saga.
It's the Palpatine saga.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited fucking.
Oh,
So,
easy.
Unlimited babies. Just keep having babies.
This is the Palpatine saga, and I will not accept calling it anything other.
Same. Rise of Palpatine.
Listen, the scene where Rey is declared a Skywalker by Luke, that's great.
That's great. That's fine. I'm fine with that. She
Yeah,
can be adopted.
I'm not saying Rey is not a Skywalker. That was touching. Rey is a Skywalker. This was the Rise of Skywalker. But as a saga, it's the Palpatine saga.
Luke and Leia gave her their blessing on the sand planet when they were Force ghosting, because she can do that. And that's fine. She's a Skywalker. I'm cool with that. I don't care. She's a Skywalker. I don't care.
So while we were talking about just coolness, I think
so cool.
This movie nails a lot of Star Wars fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And one important one is the space battles.
Yeah.
Were like a return to form.
They were so good.
They were.
Poe was in peak condition when he was in the plane.
Yeah.
Like his not exactly banter. I guess his dialogue. What have you? The moments where he like is, really gung ho, and then he's taken aback. He's so dejected, and then he finds his hope again. It's the arcs of his just space piloting. That was so good.
Yes, and one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite lines from this movie is, it's so well written because a bunch of things come together all at once. And I say so well written, just meaning like it's coherent.
Whereas 90% of the other movies are not.
Yes, I'm not saying it's the greatest writing in the world, but it is writing.
Yes, it is in fact writing.
So you have a couple of things coming together. Palpatine is shooting lightning into the sky, disabling all the ships.
Mm-hmm.
And Poe is losing hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then a million ships appear.
Because they've just lost a bunch of fighters. They're massively overwhelmed, and then they get force lightninged. Poe's like not having a good day. Yeah,
so like they have a very well done. The screen starts to white, on Poe.
White out.
Yeah, white out on Poe, and then all of a sudden it's like reinforcements are here. It's like what? And then you have a great visual of all these diverse ships coming in.
All these like shit ships.
Yeah.
They're not good.
And then you have one of my favorite lines in the film, which is, where did they get an army? And it's like, it's not an army. It's just people.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, right? I thought that was profound.
That's a good, and they built on that too, because early in the movie they were like, we don't have enough ships to take them down. They send Lando out to kind of like hopefully get reinforcements.
Whatever, Lando. Lando's just like
he's here for fun.
He's just there for the old guard, really. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for Lando to be here.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine. It wasn't bad. And
no, but
Lando's
that validates some of the episode 8 shit where it's like, this is the spark that will light the candle that will then engulf the flame of...
that will then light the tunnel that will lead to the Republic that will inspire. It's like they kept getting steps and just say the people. Just say it's about the people.
It sort of validates Luke's whole, like, in episode 8, it was like, they don't need a warrior, they need an idol. Idol is probably the wrong word.
Yep.
They need a hero. So that's why he force projected instead of actually fighting Kylo. Like he did a legend thing. Like they need inspiration. So
I enjoyed that scene a lot.
It's a good payoff.
Good payoff.
I'm glad the galaxy finally got involved.
Yeah, because it feels like, I don't know, it's a bit confusing because that shit happened in Rebels or like in the Rebellion. You know, the spark lit and they got the people to unite in one force. And then what happened to them? Why is there now the resistance failing? Didn't we just do this 10 years ago? Where the people realized that the people are stronger than the enemy?
Maybe that's the same thing.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that all came together.
Very good.
And the space fight was also good. Like, you had your classic introducing new pilots that we didn't know about. Just like,
it's like here snaps. Oh no, there goes snaps. Which like, I know I just said I hate introducing new characters at the very end of a trilogy.
Snaps is not a character.
No, of course
Snaps
not.
is a prop.
Snaps is a boy. You know, Snaps is just like, oh no, my boy. It's like he lived to die.
Yeah.
And like when he died, it's only profound because it's not. It's like, oh fuck, Snaps died. Oh shit.
I just think that's more effective than in Episode 8, where you have Poe taking out a crazy number of ships, and then they're just back in the cockpit, and Leia's like, Poe, we lost 500 men. It's like, well, I didn't see that.
I didn't see it, and I also don't care.
Yeah, what works better is like,
I don't even care that Rose's sister died.
I don't care about Snaps. I'm sad that Poe is upset that Snaps died.
Yeah.
And it was well acted. And, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's classic. I don't want to say the only good way to do it is to repeat what has already been done, but it works.
I don't know. When you're on the 9th movie, it's like you might as well just keep doing what works and stop doing what doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like just keep defibrillating this franchise, I guess. You're already on 9. You might as well just do what works.
Should we talk about the lightsaber fights? I thought they were fine. Nothing outstanding.
Really? I thought they were really good. It was like
when they're fighting.
Okay, so
in the wreckage of the Death Star.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing: in the original trilogy, the lightsaber fights were until okay. In 4 and 5, the lightsaber fights were like. Bzz, bzz, bzz. I'm doing a quick little acting in real life for Terry right now. Just move my arms. They weren't very kinetic at all. They were just standing still. And then in the prequel trilogy 1, 2, 3, they are doing crazy flips. They're doing way too much, and I love it. It's a crazy ballet, but I love it. But it's so fucking much. In this trilogy, they were just enough. They were very grounded, but you still felt the force behind them. It wasn't just like bzz, bzz. Like they you could tell a lot of character within the fight scenes.
Good kinetic energy. You have that great shot that was in the trailers of Kylo like pushing someone to the ground.
Yeah. There's the whole Legends lore about like Forms 5, Jedi Form 6. And
yeah, whatever.
This
it doesn't belong in the
master is a
movies.
master of the Form 3, and it's like, I don't fucking, this is too much. But you can really tell that Kylo is an aggressive fighter, and Rey is more of a strategic fighter. You can really tell their fighting styles, their personalities through their fighting styles. That is displayed very well in these movies.
Yeah, so I love the scenery of Rey versus Kylo in the Death Star. Like the ocean scenery was great. I'm a big sucker for like a hazy ocean.
Like a misty.
Yeah, and the
probably smells fishy. And
the fighting was good. I don't know how long that particular fight went on. If it was 5 minutes, I would say at about 4 minutes in, I was like, okay, are we ending this?
I agree with you with that scene, yeah.
Are we done yet?
Sometime it dragged on not too long. Like
it was like, it gets a B for me.
The fight scene in Malachor.
Anakin and Obi-Wan?
Anakin and Obi-Wan scene. I'm trying to flex, but I but I haven't worked out in a minute. Anakin versus Obi-Wan went on way too long, and these ones went on a little too long, just a little.
I think it was just that one, because I actually liked Kylo versus the Knights of Ren. I liked all the fighting at the end.
Kylo versus Knights of Ren was almost too short for me, but everything with the Knights of Ren was too short for me. I would like a lot more of them, please.
Yeah, they
were too interesting to have in the movie, I guess.
They did
Woohoo!
They did enough with them in Episode 9. My complaint is you should have used them in the other movies.
Yeah. Start his redemption anytime before the last 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And this is my podcast, so.
Last thing I guess we have to talk about is this is largely a Luke and Leia movie.
Somehow, despite not having either of them in it for too long, they managed to put a lot in it.
Yeah, so when you have your big end confrontation with Rey, it's like Rey is establishing she is a Skywalker in spirit. she is being helped by Luke and Leia.
She was essentially trained by both of them, which is beautiful.
The spiritual presence of Luke and Leia is felt throughout the film.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill just looks happier.
You can really see it.
I know he was a bit of a vocal
dissenter
of Episode 8,
mm-hmm.
but he just maybe it's because Luke, the character, wasn't in distress in this movie, but it just seemed like a happier, better Luke.
And that's really what I need from Luke Skywalker himself. Like, he is such a sunshine boy.
Right.
It just felt good. It was good.
And I was terrified of what they were going to do with Leia in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very happily surprised. There's a scene where they're saying, Rey, you need to find Leia's lightsaber. And I was just like, her what?
Her what?
Sorry, Leia's what?
Her what?
and then they show
Leia's what?
And then they show like a little clip of young Luke and young Leia training together.
A very quick clip, but such an effective one. Like, God, it was such a short scene, because like Luke's screen time is approximately 3 minutes total, but the entire time I was so stunned by what they were doing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just so yeah. I too am crying, Terry.
Yeah, I for whatever reason I totally buy the fact that Leia has been training Rey, and that Leia has
been trained by Luke.
Yeah. I kind of wish I had seen that sooner.
As with everything, but we're just gonna ignore it.
I was happy for the revelation.
Mm-hmm. It was nothing wild, like, because she's been Force sensitive since the beginning. Like, they mention of that in Episode 6.
Yeah, it's definitely there. None of it felt far fetched, because it wasn't.
Not at all.
It wasn't like, oh, Leia is the strongest Jedi there's ever been, man.
Yeah,
like she killed 8 Sith Lords. No, it was just like she knows how to use a lightsaber well enough to train someone else in it.
Yeah,
and she has a lightsaber that has like religious value.
Yeah, like she's been Luke's sister for probably 40 years now. Like she probably heard him say stuff about the Jedi text. You know, she probably knows how to read Jedi.
Yeah, I just thought all that stuff was tremendous.
Yeah,
and
tremendous.
The vague religious stuff at the end really paid off.
Yeah,
I think like
keep it vague, baby.
Yeah, when you're having a fake like sci-fi religion, it helps to keep it as vague as possible, and there should be like a very simple geometry to it.
Yeah,
and by that I mean like
the geometric, the symmetry.
Yeah, the symmetry of like she holds the lightsabers in an X form. There are 2 lightsabers, 2 twins, a grandfather and a granddaughter. Like just weird symmetry that works out. 2
grandparents, 2 grandkids fighting generations. The generational symmetry really works out.
Yeah, just simple parallels really make your pseudo religious bullshit go over smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was eating it up.
Yeah.
It helped to make it feel less like Rey was doing it and more like she was carrying the Skywalkers through to defeating Palpatine.
To the finish
I think
line.
that was effectively communicated.
Yes. In film language and whatnot. And like, not everything about the symmetrical religion generation stuff like was explicitly said. Like, I know they explicitly said like, you're my granddaughter, so I will become one with your spirit. It's like, that's weird and upfront, but the symmetry is just communicated well enough through film language alone.
Do we like Episode 9?
Do we like Episode 9? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is Star Wars good again?
Yes. Is Star Wars over? Yes.
Oh my God, it's over.
It's over. We're free.
So this is...
Brother, hold my hands. We're free.
Holding hands.
We're free. We're Luke and Leia, and we're free from this mortal coil.
This is the ambiguity that drives the podcast. It's like, Episode 9 was great because it's fucking over. I'm so sick of it.
Even saying that is so, like divisive. It's like, I am happy, and I did like it. Or, like, I'm happy it's over, but I did like it.
Yeah.
It's like, does that mean... If I'm happy that it's over, did I like it? Or was I just doing this? Like, I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, no. The simple test for me is like, do you want to watch the movie again? And yeah, I'll watch Episode 8 over and over again. And I'll watch Episode 9 over and over again and actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go back and see episode 9. It was entertaining and it was coherent and I got something out of it.
I felt it was very cool. It was very cool. You can say you disliked it, but you can't say it wasn't cool.
Right.
You know? And that is one of the pillars for me of Star Wars. Got to be cool, and it really was.
Is Star Wars good again? I think it'll be cool if they do a trilogy that's not based on the Skywalkers.
I would love that.
They buried the lightsabers at the end. You know they're going to dig them up.
Oh, you know they got to dig them up, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like I'm still just so happy I have answers and I don't have to live with these loose threads any longer.
Do I like Star Wars? Yes. Did I like Star Wars? No. You know?
Uh-huh.
I currently like it. I did not like it up until right this moment. It took me a long time to get there. Driving to the theater, I didn't like Star Wars. Driving home, I did like it. So it's straddling.
I mean, you've always liked Luke.
I've always loved Luke. Yes. Was Luke in this film? Yes. Every film that Luke is in is a good film. That's why 3 is a better film than 2, because he's a fetus.
No, he's born. We do see a baby Luke.
We do, yes. Yes, we do.
Anyway, that's our show.
Anyway, that's the show. No more content from now on.
That's our show.
Jesus. Get it together. Yeah, drink some more ginger ale. That'll help your stomach. Sponsor us, ginger ale.
Which one? Don't look at the bottle.
I don't like Seagram's.
Speak from your heart.
What's the one? Canada Dry. That's the one for me.
So that'll do it for our episode 9 recap. If we left anything out, please tweet at us. We are
tweet us your JJ winks. Tweet us your opinions. Is that a door I want to open?
Is the new girl Lando's daughter?
Yeah, tweet us at that. I couldn't fucking tell what that conversation was. That was the weirdest conversation.
Are Maz and Chewbacca gonna hook up again?
Did Storm Pilot happen 10 seconds after the camera stopped rolling? Yes.
So follow us on Twitter at Do We Like Star War.
That's Do We Like Star War without the S.
One word and it's singular. We ran out of characters. Much like the new trilogy.
We didn't have enough time to put all the characters in the film.
There it is.
There it is. AO.
Follow us on YouTube, or subscribe, like, and comment.
Subscribe? Nope.
Like, comment, subscribe.
There we go.
Or
Merry Christmas from Jason and Josh.
Or dislike. Just make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Or just make sure you subscribe and watch.
And ding that bell.
What's our YouTube channel? I believe it's just Do We Like Star Wars.
Yes.
All one word?
It's Do We Like Star Wars -- podcast, but just to the YouTube algorithm is horrible, so please search for us by name.
Yeah, if you search Raylo, you actually get our first podcast, Raylo. Oh no. Bit ahead of the curve on that one.
We were since day one. I was on that track. We got more episodes coming out.
Sucks.
Raylo sucks.
You know what? I hate Star Wars.
Yeah.
Raylo's in it. Fuck.
Raylo very nearly ruined my life for the podcast, but do follow us for more content. We got more Twitter polls. We got more
yeah, we got
content.
We got an animatic we're working on.
We got more episodes coming out featuring planets and whatnot.
Please talk to us, yell at us, yell with us. Hopefully by the time this goes up, we're on Spotify.
Scream with me like that scene in Midsommar where the girls are all screaming together. You didn't see Midsommar, but the ones who saw it will love that joke.
All right. Happy Life Day, everyone.
Happy Life Day.
Oh.
You gotta get the. You gotta.